Before we move on, it's a good idea for us to save our file. So let's go to File, Save As, navigate to the place on your computer where you'd like to save your file. I'm already in a folder called Demo Folder for me. Before I save my file, I'm going to create a new project folder. So I'm going to name it my last name, underscore VCD1000, underscore project 1 dash milestone 2. And I'm going to name my file the exact same thing, so I'm going to click and drag to copy, Command C to copy that text, and then I'll hit create, and then I'm just going to go ahead and copy that text directly into my file name, and I want it to be an AI file, and let's just hit save, and just hit OK. Alright, so it's really important that you save your file early, and then as you make changes, make sure you save every so often. I have my artwork layer selected, and I have the visibility toggled on. I made sure that my template image is dimmed to at least 50%, and I have that layer locked so I can't accidentally move it. Realize that the image is going beyond the edge of the artboard. The artboard is the this little thin black line here. That's the basically, think of it as our sheet of paper that we're going to be working on. And then the dark gray is called the pasteboard. That's just anything kind of like if you were sticking it over onto your desk and it's off of your paper. So we do have the image that is just going onto our pasteboard a little bit, and that's really not important right now. I'm going to use some very basic Illustrator tools to start creating our shapes. I'm going to use either the pen tool or I'm going to use the shape tool. In this case, we have the rectangle tool visible. Now if I click and hold with my mouse on the rectangle tool, you'll see that there are other tools available underneath here like the ellipse tool. So if I select the ellipse tool, and you do see also that there are keyboard shortcuts for this. So in other words, if I was to click L, it goes to the ellipse tool, and if I click M, it goes to the rectangle tool. But for now, I'm just going to select that without using the shortcut. So I'm going to click and hold to get my little menu to appear, and I'm going to choose the ellipse tool. So if I wanted to draw an ellipse, I just click and drag, and I can change the shape of my ellipse by the position of the mouse. So let's say I wanted to draw an ellipse like that. Well, by default, I have a white fill and a black stroke. And down here at the bottom of the toolbar, you can see I have two swatches, two color swatches. The foreground swatch by default is white, and the background swatch by default is black. The background swatch, the black swatch, is a stroke. It has a hollow middle, and the foreground swatch has is solid, and that's the fill. So the fill of my shape is white. The outline or the border of my shape is called a stroke, and that's black. I can switch the position of these by clicking on this little swap arrow. If I click that, it's going to reverse. So now my fill is black and my stroke is white. Now for this project, we're just sticking to black to black and white. We're not going to be using any colors, but I do want to make you aware that if you were to click inside this fill, double click inside of it, or inside the swatch, it doesn't matter, stroke or fill, whichever one you click on, you're going to get a color picker that appears, and you can change the color of the swatch by clicking on this little color picker, clicking in an area. You can drag the slider around to get different colors. You can also type color codes in as well. And if I hit OK, now I have a different color. We're just going to go back to our black and white. So the way I got back to my black fill is just hitting Command Z. That's on the Mac. It would be Control Z on the PC. Something that I think we should do, we're just going to want to create these black shapes. I think what we ought to do is get rid of this white stroke. So I'm going to click on the stroke swatch, and then I'm going to click this little none icon with the red line going through it, so that now we have no stroke. So we've got a black fill and no stroke. All right. So I could start constructing my drawing here, my black and white drawing, using these basic shapes. I could click and drag the size and position and place them around just by dragging. I could rotate them. So if I hover over this little corner anchor point and click and drag, I can rotate this. I can resize it by dragging on these little corner nodes. I can Command C to copy, Command V on the keyboard to paste. Again, if it's a PC, you're going to use Control V and Control C. And I can create multiples of these. Okay. But if I look at these kinds of ellipses, or if I was to choose the rectangle, I see that the shapes in my drawings really are kind of more irregular than that. I would call them more organic or curvilinear. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete these for now. And I'm going to use my pen tool. So the pen tool is on my toolbar. It's a third tool down. And I can click and hold on that, and I can see that there are some different options here. So with the pen tool, basically we can create paths, and then we can fill those paths with color, and then we can modify those paths with these other tools here. So I'm going to choose my pen tool, and I'm going to click and drag and start drawing. And what happens when I start drawing is that since I have my stroke set to none, and I have my fill set to black, I'm getting this black fill as I go. And actually that's pretty hard to work with that way. So I'm Command Zing to undo all this. So let's say that I want to create this shape right in here. And I start clicking and dragging with my pen tool. And it's sort of filling in as it goes. And it makes it, what it does is it's kind of covering up my my template drawing underneath. So I'm going to just, while I draw, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse or toggle these to swap the fill and the stroke. So that now the fill is at none and the stroke is at black. And now when I start to draw, I see I have a black, my path is turning black, and I don't have the problem where it's filling as I go along.